Hi, welcome to the Mom Files, Moments of Motherhood podcast, a place where the hard things have room to exist without shame.
If you're a mom, you'll get realistic routines, gentle validation, and encouragement to try new things. We're here to be your village, a judgment-free zone for modern motherhood. Take what fits for you and leave the rest.
We're happy you're here. Let's jump in.
Welcome back. I'm Aleea.
And I'm Hav.
And today, as you can see or hear, if you are listening to the audio only, we have a very special guest today with us, one of my best friends, Hannah. Hi, Hannah.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us today. We brought her on because for many of us, we're told pregnancy should be happy and glowing, but for a lot of moms, especially working moms, it can be exhausting and scary and isolating and just be really hard. So this episode's kind of for you or just anyone who's kind of thought like, why don't I feel like everyone else feels? So we're going to kind of share some tips about how you might be able to support yourself and then also just hear about Hannah's personal stories with her pregnancies. So let's kind of jump in and explore this. Why don't you go ahead and start us off with your first pregnancy and then we'll go ahead and talk about Rivers.
Well, my first pregnancy was pretty interesting. It seemed okay for the most part. The only thing I kind of struggled with was heartburn. And let me just say, pregnancy is not for me. I'm not a fan.
Amen.
As I was telling Aleea, I'm like, the labor, I can do this. The pregnancy, worst thing in my life. So I'm not one of those that really enjoys it. But it was great until the end. I had some pretty high blood pressure, which is kind of scary, especially going with your first pregnancy. You'd never had babies before. I was a baby, almost having a baby.
Mm-hmm. I did forget to mention Hannah's first pregnancy. She was 19, so It was younger.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. So towards the end, I'm thinking everything could go wrong and everything is wrong. Having high blood pressure in a pregnancy is not fun. Being swollen all the time. I mean, it was killer. I mean, it was absolutely killer. So I think the only blessing out of it is getting induced about 3 weeks before my due date. But yeah, it was pretty scary.
Do you think, because I never even thought about this, do you think being younger played a lot of fears just because maybe you didn't know as much or because it was so sudden and so I feel like it was just thrown?
I think that was it. I think being so young, I mean, having a baby at that point in my life was not on my bingo card. And I thought, it was pretty isolating. My kids or my friends weren't even having kids then, so it was a pretty lonely experience going into it. And, you just go through all the turmoil of where is this going to go? What, is this meant for me? Was I supposed to be a mom? There was a lot of questions, a lot of decisions going into it. So it was a pretty scary time.
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking about because that's when I was meeting Aleea and we were becoming friends and I was hearing about you and learning about you. And being 26 and pregnant was scary enough.
That's what I was just thinking.
I remember we were being 19 and be like, oh my God, we're in college and partying and this girl is going to have a baby and be a mom and being proud of you for handling it. But I was scared for you because it's a scary thing. We're children, like you said. I was just going to say and I know you and Aleea are really close and we're really close. So I'm sure, do you know, looking back on it, do you think not having your best friend in the same city as you was a little bit harder too, not having her just be able to be there with you?
It was hard. Aleea, the day I found out I was pregnant, how supportive she was of any decision I'd make and knowing she was at college and not being able to have her here in person, that was hard. But even being, 3.5 hours away, I felt that support, that cheerleader that I've always had.
Yeah, but I get it because I'm especially being far away and thinking about being young. Because when you said, being older was scary, I was 28, 29 when I was pregnant and it was really scary. And then I think about adding on potentially high blood pressure, which potentially could cause other potential health scares. Mm-hmm. And then also feeling alone because all your friends are away at college. I'm that would be really, I'm proud of you for doing it, because I'm it's a lot. And yeah, I think it's just something that a lot of people forget about is sometimes we go through all of this stuff and it's hard because
there's just so much that goes into pregnancy.
Yeah.
I think the whole point of this episode, right, is we talk about everybody's it's beautiful, it's fun, you should be proud of yourself. And you should be proud of yourself because that was a really courageous thing to do. But like you said, you were dealing with high blood pressure. You were little, like you were young. And then people that are closest to you are hours away. And yes, Aleea, as I know, is very supportive, especially long distance. But I just like imagine being a kid and just like having the lack of support, I guess. Not saying you had no support, but
your mom's really good.
Oh, my mom,
we should note that. She has a great mom.
Yeah, my mom was
Yes.
absolutely my savior. Definitely. But yeah, I think, you know, you have that mindset. You just graduated high school. Your friends are at college. They're doing things that that you would strive for and look forward to in high school. And I had to grow up a lot faster than a lot of people I knew.
Well, and I just think about making those decisions in a space that maybe you might, like, you obviously did it and you made the right decisions, but you almost feel like you're not ready for. You're like, whoa, like, do I know enough? Do I feel ready? Like, I'm making all these choices for like myself in this future, human.
Yeah, because it's not just about you anymore.
Right.
You have to,
And so then fast forward a little bit, you're a little older with River, but that pregnancy was also a little harder.
That pregnancy I was sicker than a dog for the entire time. I couldn't hold anything down. I couldn't smell anything. It was unbelievable. It made me absolutely hate labor, being pregnant with a baby. I'll tell you that. But yeah, I couldn't keep anything down the minute I even found out I was pregnant. It was crazy.
That was kind of like what you were experiencing early pregnancy, and I feel like you're just now coming out of it.
Yeah, I mean, this part for me, I think very similar to what it sounds like for you. My first pregnancy was like nothing was wrong. I didn't even have high blood pressure. I just hated being pregnant. Want to be there. Wanted to have my child, as we all do. But
fast forward.
yeah, but like that was hard enough. But yeah, in the second pregnancy, it was like the same. As soon as I found out, it was like a trigger that I just couldn't keep anything down. Everything I smelled was horrible. I mean, like Tony would clean the house, and I'd be like, "Why are you using anything in this house right now? I'm gonna vomit all." And then with a toddler, right? Because you have a little one running around you.
I always forget there's more. Once you have a second pregnancy, you still have the other one.
But I got out of it, I think I was around 15, 16 weeks when like the like major whatever. And then I've just been uncomfortable because this child is huge in my stomach. But I just know for me, I was like, I literally thought at 15 weeks, I was like, if this doesn't end, how am I going to survive the rest of this pregnancy, especially with a toddler running around and like work? Yeah. You were working, right?
Yeah, I was working full time, basically up till I went into labor. I remember my last day. The next day, I was having some Braxton Hicks or some contractions, and I actually had a doctor's appointment, and they took my blood pressure, and the doctor's like, we need to try something. He locked me in a dark room, and they had random blood pressure tests. They thought maybe I was anxious. And then he came in the room. He goes, "Yeah, you're going to have this baby today. We're sending you right on up."
The reason I'm laughing is I'm just picturing like, I'm going into my appointment. And then they're like, "Oh no, you're doing this now." I'd be like, "Hold on. I'm sorry."
Yeah. And then I'm thinking, my toddler, I go, what am I going to do with her? I haven't even pre-planned what's going on.
And the dad's working. Right?
Dad's working. I had to call his work and say, "Hey, we're doing this right now. It's happening."
Like I'm going there right now.
So let's get out of work and head on up.
Oh my gosh. And I mean, Aleea and I talk about all the time on all of our episodes that you can't plan anything.
Never.
Right? But like that is one of those things where you're like, I don't even have my hospital bag. Like you said, I don't have anything planned for my toddler. The dad's at work. Like I'm sure your blood pressure skyrocketed after that.
After that, yes. And the funny thing is, it was so high that I had put my body into labor. I didn't even have to be induced. The minute I got the hospital gown on, it was game on.
I think this is a great point, though, that not everyone has, like, a lot of us do have work and like other obligations. Like, it's not like you just had someone instantly to take care of Roz, you know? Like, I think it's just a reminder that we do have villages, but sometimes even with a village, there's moments where you're like, oh, wait.
Like, what are we doing?
Like, it's happening. Like, because someone has to drop something, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, and so it's like, who's it going to be? And not everyone has that.
Yeah.
Even in a perfect, like, world scenario. I mean, I know, like, but for me, my mother-in-law was already like, oh, she works at the hospital that I'm going to give birth in. She was like, oh, I'll be there. And I was like, well, who's going to be with my child?
I mean, good point there.
But that would be, you know, if it was planned and everything. But wow, I'm just thinking about going into my doctor and then being like, was there any part of you that was just like thankful, like, oh my, thank you, like this is just going to end?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, and that, you know, going along with working up until that was happening, I was just so done. My back, and I have back issues. I carry the babies in my back, which is interesting. And I have really bad sciatica issues. And by then, I mean, there were some days I couldn't even walk. It was,
and correct me if I'm wrong, but you're working in the store at this point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you're on your feet. You're not like sitting down like I am at a computer. You're up on your feet, helping customers.
Yeah.
Been around.
Because I was going to say, and like, even though it doesn't seem like it is a pretty labor-intensive job, especially when you get shipments in and you got to like change the floor and like do everything. Because she's in retail. Well,
and I'm the kind of person, I'm restless. I've always got to keep moving. So if I have to sit, there's something wrong.
Well, I think that's also what was hard is there was some recommendations to take it easy, maybe rest more, but she had to work. So I think that's also is not everyone, just because you have medical shit doesn't mean you can just stop working and, you know, be at home. So I think that's also a good point is like, sometimes you want to do things, but sometimes you can't. And
financially too. I mean, there's no way I could even think about taking, you know, time off up until, because there's just, you know.
Right. I mean, you just had to, So
I think that's a great point too of the like being told you can't be who you are while you're pregnant. Like I've talked about that all the time. I'm like, as soon as you're pregnant, you're not you. But like said, like you like to move around and you like to do all this stuff, and now your body is telling you no, and your doctors are telling you no, and like you have to anyway because you're working. But just imagine if you did have the financial ability to not work, you stuck in a bed all day, like
no way. I could never.
You'd be up like cleaning.
Could never. Up in 9 months, right? You know, high blood pressure. I'm mowing the lawn. I mean, it's 100 degrees outside, July. I'm mowing that lawn. It's, you know, got to get her done.
Well, I was just going to say, but at the same breath, it's like, if you don't do it, no one's going to do it. And sometimes things can't wait just because you're pregnant or whatever else, even though we like to think they can.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that's another thing when you see not just pregnant women, but women with, you know, kids, it's like, give them a little grace. You don't know what they're going through and, you know, how much they have on their plate.
Absolutely.
I do have a question for you. While you're going through all of this, your first pregnancy, your second pregnancy, are people, because I know a lot of people are just like, oh, you should be so happy. You're pregnant. Like, this is a beautiful thing. You're doing great. Whatever. Like, did you have people in your face being like, you should feel a certain way about it? What was that like for you?
Yeah, I grew up in a really religious family.
And I was going to say, and being younger.
And being young.
I would be curious with that. Too,
being young and, you know, everybody has an opinion. Everybody thinks even though you're doing the right thing, it's not the right thing. They wouldn't do it anyways. So I have a lot of people that, you know, had their other opinions. Oh, you should get married. That was the biggest thing. You need to marry your partner. And I'm like, just because you're telling me, it makes me not want to do it. I'll tell you that much. But, you know, very opinionated. And growing up in a small town, I mean, everybody's got such, you know, strong opinions on things. And, you know, and then you do start to question yourself a little bit. Like, am I making the right decision? And, you know, it's pretty tough.
Yeah. And like, because we know as moms, so much of what we do is a sacrifice for our kids. But then also, where do you hold the boundary for what like is not right for you?
Yeah.
And, you know, how that's going to affect your kids. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. And being 19, having to deal with that.
When I don't even know myself yet, you know, too. So it's like trying to it's hard not to listen to outside opinions, but then trying to find what's, you know, right for me. It was a total learning. The whole thing was a learning curve for me.
I was going to say for the viewers, I literally live in the Bible Belt. But you guys live in like the Bible Belt, Washington. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Literally. And I know, like, here strangers just like they see a baby bump and they think that they're just going to ask you your whole life. You don't have a ring on your finger. And all of a sudden there's questions on that. And it's like for for me, I know I was engaged to Tony. So like my family was like, well, at least they're intending to. But like that's a good point of like the marriage thing and all the pressure. Like it's not just the pregnancy. It's all the things going into it.
And I'm really glad you brought up that whole, like, people have questions. It's crazy to me how many people at work will be like, is it the same baby daddy?
Every
I'm like,
day.
you're some random stranger.
It's so wild.
You don't even know anything. It's just interesting to me to, like, one, assume it's not the same. But, like, just to, like, it's just fascinating to me the questions you get versus what I get. I'm like,
and I always wonder, are you asking the father these same questions?
Right. Yeah, like,
you
do you have a bunch of baby moms?
Yeah, it's, you know what I mean? I'm just like, all the pressure is on, and it's just wild how you're pregnant and they think they need to know everything about your private life.
Right. Well, and I know I don't want to get too deep into like private topics and stuff, but
you're allowed.
Okay. Well, because I know for me, like that was a big thing for me too, especially first pregnancy, was all the pressure being put on me to make all the decisions, and your whole life is going to change while they're treating Tony exactly the same. And I know you guys weren't really together. So I'm just wondering if, you know, like how that kind of affected your pregnancy too, and watching him kind of just be able to do what he wanted while you're, for lack of better words, stuck.
You know, there's two sides of it for me. You know, the first side was, it was my decision, not his, right? To go through with the pregnancy. And I'm pretty open, like, I'm not going to pressure you. If you want to be there, great. If you don't, that's, you know, I'm taking all of this on. But it was hard. You know, you see marriages that seem to have, you know, great, you know, you go through pregnancy, your partner's super supportive. And I never wanted to put that, you know, pressure on, but I definitely craved it. You know, you crave and you're just hopeful that it would work out. And for our story, it did. You know, second pregnancy was a whole different, that was planned. So that was a whole different, you know, ball game. So I could tell the difference between the two pregnancies.
Yeah. And I think it helped aging and like you both kind of figuring out what you want, because when it is sudden and you're not, say, together, it can be a hard, because like obviously Hav and I, neither of us were married, but when you were. No, you weren't. You weren't married. You're engaged. But I was like, I definitely wasn't. We all know shotgun wedding. But like, it's just one of those things where it's a little different. I feel like when you're already making that step, but you were younger, so you weren't exactly ready to make like a marriage step. Yeah. You know, like that doesn't mean you weren't going to be together. Right. But that's just, you were at a different like point in your life. And I wonder, did that play a role in anything, you think?
I think so. I think, you know, it's like, okay, you open up the doors, you're pregnant, here's marriage. I'm like, I want to go through one big life-changing moment, one step at a time.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? I'm just like, let me get back to that later in life. And I think that was a lot of it. And that's the thing about being pregnant so young. I mean, it's just, it feels like the walls are just crumbling on top of you. You know, you're questioning every aspect of your life. What's the best for you? And it was tough.
Yeah, especially because like I even felt that at 28.
Yeah.
You know, but that was because I was someone that never potentially wanted to be a mom. So the minute I was like, whoa, like all the things I had potentially planned, it was like, oh no, this is your one path now. Yeah. It wasn't bad. It was just very like, whoa, this is a lot of change. And I'm like, now I have to like grapple.
Reality.
Yeah. It was just like,
it's a big old tsunami reality check.
And being younger, I could see that. Yeah.
I think it's funny because we were all at such different points, right? Like, Hannah, you were 19. Aleea, you at that point really didn't think that you wanted to be a mom. I literally was like, we're going to get off birth control. It's not necessarily the exact time I want, but like, I want to be a mom. I'm engaged. And I still was like, fuck this shit.
Absolutely.
I hate this. And my life is never going to be the same again. I mean, we have a whole episode on like grief and mourning who you were. And I just remember the whole pregnancy, everybody being like, why aren't you happier? And me just being like, dude, I literally just started finding out who I was at 26. Yep. And now you're telling me I have a whole child that I have to take care of. I can't do anything that I want. So even though we all had very, very different pregnancies, it's like that. It's okay to all feel the same way.
We all had that moment in our mind, like this is where it changes. This is, this is where it hits.
And I think it's a good reminder that it shows that all pregnancies are different, all stages of life. That's why it's like you can't compare, because I'm like, we are all the same age and we still went through it all very differently.
Yeah.
And still ended up, I mean, I think we all can agree we all love being moms.
Oh,
So
yeah.
even, through all of the emotional turmoil, it's like we all did end up in kind of in that same place, even still today, doing everything differently.
Yeah.
So and one thing though, if you are listening, just because we won't have time for it today, but if you do want Hannah back on to talk about what it was like being more of like a single mom or like a young, because we did talk about a little bit, really diving in, especially with, it's just a different situation. So if you're curious about it, let us know, because I'm sure she'd come back and chat with us.
Absolutely. It's all up to you guys.
Do you have a podcast and a pile of laundry staring you down? Are you questioning your life choices during nap time or working at midnight with one eye open and 3 tabs running?
Yeah, same. We've lived that chaos. Hey, still living it. That's why we offer podcast editing and post-production services for the moms who have things to say, but zero time to do all the things. Let us help you get your voice out there without losing your mind, your message, or your weekend.
Think less burnout, more snuggles. Less tech stress, more talking to your audience in peace. Interested? Tap the link in the description to learn more. Plus, we offer free discovery calls, no pressure, just real talk to see if we vibe.
Let's make podcasting easier, because you're already doing enough.
Before we continue on, Hav, did you have any other questions before I kind of moved into just maybe some support?
No, I think it's a great time to transition to support and just, like we're talking about how it's different for all of us, but we all had kind of the same feelings and how the support looked for you and what you would suggest for others if they're in the same situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any?
Yeah.
It's like maybe how you handled some of maybe the hard parts of your pregnancy.
Handling the hard parts and going along with the support, going through something like that, you really see who is in your corner. And I think the people that step up and, that support you through everything, I think you keep them close, and you show gratitude. And as long as you keep them around, that's really all you need, whether it's friends, whether it's your family, even some community members. I think it's just really important to show that gratitude and to really, really keep them close and
lean on them when you need to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Use your tools.
And I know another tool you mentioned when we were on was movement helped.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So with my first pregnancy, being as awful as it was, I kind of looked at what could I do differently. And I think I started to be a little more active. And ironically enough, it was during prime COVID time when things were shut down and you couldn't really do anything. So I made sure that, we got out and I'd exercise. We had a little group of friends that would go and exercise. And I think that helped quite a bit. Even just mentally, mentally that helped me through. Physically, not so much because that pregnancy was out of this world. But mentally, it really, really helped and got me through. And, I felt really good about myself. I think that's important. Just keep moving.
Yeah. And I even think when you mentioned, doing it with other people, I think that can help too, because just sometimes being with other people can take your mind off things, help, especially if you're with the right people, they can kind of help support. Because I know for me, sometimes when I get out, like when we go on our walks and those stuff, like I just feel better energetically, not even just physically. Like, you do feel better physically, but mentally I'm like, oh, okay, I'm feeling better. I feel like I've gotten some things off, my chest.
Yeah, it's like the perfect way, and here I've got a couple of guys, frat guys in college who are working out with me, but I'm like, here they are with their 8-month pregnant friend. How supportive can that get? Being there for me, and it was huge.
I definitely think you make a great point. It shows you who is meant to stay in your corner forever. I know for me, I was like, wow, like I have support from, like more support than I could have ever imagined. But I think also your point on, you went through your first pregnancy and with your second pregnancy, you were like, okay, this is what I need to do for me. And I think I know from talking to Aleea, both of us for our first pregnancies were like very much more, or at least I know for me specifically, I was very much like, I need to do everything I was doing before, like how I was doing it before. And like, I was also very much a busybody, especially the first pregnancy. Whereas in this pregnancy, I think I'm giving myself a little bit more just like of a break. Like if, I need to, like you were doing, I was like, I need to exercise my body and stuff. But if I don't want to clean the dishes today, I'm not cleaning the dishes today. Like there's things that you can look back on your first pregnancy and be like, that made me miserable. Yeah. And I'm gonna change that for this one. At least try to.
Absolutely. And it all goes down to your mental health. I really believe in that.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. It's giving yourself permission to kind of not even just rest, but do things that you need to do without justification. If you need to move your body, move your body. If you need to rest, rest. Like just honor what feels good during that time because that's all you can really do. Unfortunately, sometimes it just sucks. And like we've talked about, you just kind of have to sit in the suck.
Yeah, absolutely.
But before we wrap up, did you have any other tips either of you wanted to share?
Honestly, no. I think Hannah made a great point about just like holding on to the people that are showing up for you and being grateful for that, but also knowing that you deserve it. So I think maybe that's something I would add on is that you deserve the support. And to tack onto that, the people who aren't supporting you but still think that they have access to your life, they don't deserve it. So choose your battles wisely, but also like pay attention to who's there.
Huge. It's just huge.
Yeah. And honor yourself. Take rest if you need to. Do what the things you need to do. So to kind of wrap up, as always, you're not broken for feeling this way. So your experience, it's real, it's valid, and it's so worthy of support. So you don't have to make meaning of this season right now. Just getting through it is enough because it's hard, especially if you are having kind of a hard pregnancy. So any final thoughts?
I just thank you for having me on. It's fun and it's great to have viewers listen to different, pregnancies and what women are going through because I think us women need to band together and need to have a better understanding, within each other. And
amen. Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing being pregnant and bringing life into this world, but we don't have to lie to ourselves and say it's fun all the time.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us. We are lucky to have you and for you to share with us because this is definitely a topic that can be hard for people to share. So we definitely appreciate you. But if you are listening, stay tuned. Next week, we are diving into saying no to family visits and setting boundaries. I know we've talked about cutting off family, but sometimes we've mentioned you don't always want to cut them off and we just need to set boundaries. So that alone can be really difficult to deal with. And you can have a lot of pushback. I know we have. So we will chat with you about it then. Bye.
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 Thanks for sharing your time with us today. We're so glad you're part of this messy, beautiful village.
If this episode made you laugh, cry, or feel just a little more human, pass it on to a mom friend who needs it too. And hey, if you haven't already, hit subscribe and leave us a review. It helps more moms find the show and gives us a tiny dopamine hit. Let's be real.
Until next week, keep the kids alive and your coffee hot, or at least reheated once.